Welcome back. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Chopra. The Republic Day Parade 2025 had India's military might on display. For the first time, a tri-services tableau comprising of the Indian Army, Indian Air Force and Indian Navy and symbolizing the unity of the armed forces was presented. It's right there on your screens. With the theme of Shashakt or Surakshit Bharat, Strong and Secure India, the tableau depicted a battlefield scenario demonstrating synchronized land, water and air operations. It featured indigenous defense assets such as the Arjun main battle tank, the Tejas MKI fighter aircraft, the advanced light helicopters, destroyer INS Vishakhapatnam and a remotely piloted aircraft as well. Before we get into some of the specifics of what was on display, I have with me on the broadcast Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, and we also with us Major General Sanjay Meston with us today. I want to begin with Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, for the first time ever, we decided to put the tri-services together in a tableau. The significance of that, sir?
Basically, Deepika, it was with a view to ensure jointness. You know, the jointness, the synergy, and when we are talking about theaterization, it's very important that there ought to be jointness first and foremost, and that would automatically lead, because each one of these systems are all different. Everybody is playing a different kind of role, but when synergized, when there's jointness, and that is the purpose of this particular tableau, which had land, air, and the maritime, all three combined together with the view to be able to show that together we can work, and together we will ensure the destruction of the enemy. It is in that context we had this tri-services tableau. I think this particular thing was a very good show. I would, would say that jointness is something which is the most important thing, because it's no longer the conventional war alone. There's so many things that are playing a role on the battlefield. And when there is jointness amongst the three services, obviously, which finally, ultimately, we are working on theaterization, it would work and it would be a great success. It is in that context that we must see this tableau, which had both, or had all the three services, the Army, the Air Force and the Navy. Yeah.
Okay, Major Sanjay Meston, your thoughts on the same as well, sir?
Right. You know, in today's warfare, jointness and integration are of utmost importance between the three services, and not only the three services, I would say even today, you know, space, domain, underwater domain, everything is extremely important. So this is exactly highlighted that integration and jointness, interoperability, and more so. Today, the order of the day is that we have to have operational logistics also together. That means earlier, we had different nodes for the Army, different nodes for the Navy and for the Air Force, logistic nodes. For example, I'll just give you a small example in Mumbai itself or in the Southern Command. You know, now all the nodes, logistic nodes have now becoming jointness. So that means from the same logistic node, the Air Force, the Navy and the Army can draw their stores. And that is why I'm talking about such stores which have got interoperability and they can be used by all the three services. Of course, they will be having their specialized stores also. So, and that saves space, this saves security, it saves large number of things. And all this is rightfully so being done because today the nation is going for the theaterization concept. We are going to have theater commanders very, very shortly. For example, the entire southern area, the coastal area, it will be by a naval officer who will be heading all the Army and the Naval and of course the Air Force forces. So this is going to have total integration. And let me tell you, for the Indian Army or the Indian Armed Forces, the jointness, I think we are one of the unique countries in the world where we have something known as the National Defense Academy. I think there the seeds of jointness is shown and both self and Sanjay Kulkarni, we, Lieutenant General Kulkarni, we are from the same academy. India. Now, India, we undergo 3 years service where the Army, the Air Force and Naval cadets, we are together. And till even after retirement, the kind of jointness we have, we keep meeting and we are course-mates, whether they are from the Air Force and Navy. So this is the foundation which has showed right from the NDA days. So this is a step in the right direction and you have seen sometimes the three service chiefs have been from the same course of the National Defense Academy. but they are heading their respective services. So a step in the correct direction, and I'm quite sure with this concept, the way it has been reflected now as a tableau, the announcement of the theater commanders also would be shortly, and this is going to be extremely good for the nation. For example, the northern land borders will be just looked after by one theater commander, that is the China border. The Western theater, another the Pakistan theater. So this again leads into synergy, right application of force, correct downsizing, and optimum utilization of all resources. That is the essence. So you know, you don't have to move anything from left, right. You are self-contained in every manner. So a step in the right direction, and I think the nation today would feel proud that where the Indian Armed Forces might is heading, and we are doing extremely well. And not only that, I would say our defense exports, everything is going up. So we are heading in the right direction, Devika, and it's a step in the right, it's a very good step for the country.
Absolutely. I'll come back to both our guests in just a moment. But viewers, the Defence and Research and Development Organization, or the DRDO, made its presence, of course, felt at the 76th Republic Day Parade with its tableau titled Raksha Kavach, a multi-layer protection against multi-domain threats. For the first time, the indigenously developed tactical missile system called Pralay was displayed. It is designed to enhance India's strategic capabilities. The Pralay weapon system is a surface-to-surface tactical missile, which was one of the key highlights of this year's parade. The Pralay missile has a range of 150 to 500 kilometers and is capable of neutralizing a wide array of battlefield targets. With its precision and advanced technology, the missile adds a significant edge to India's tactical defense systems. But let me take that further with our guests. Let me bring back Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, if you can perhaps explain in detail to our viewers the Pralay system that has been developed by the DRDO.
See, after all, the Pralay system is basically a tactical system. You know, we are not looking at strategic depth, but something in the battlefield that we have, which has a range between 150 to 500 kilometers, that's something for the conventional tactical battlefield to ensure the complete success of the troops on ground. It is in that context the DRDO developed what is called Pralay. Pralay means a total destruction of the enemy at that point, at the targeted and at a point where we want it to be intended to use it. Now, in that context, you find DRDO with that the tableau, it had the cover system, it had the laser guided weapon systems, it had the early warning system, it had the Pralay system. So all of these, you find that this complete package that the DRDO is now getting involved. Obviously, the DRDO is looking at it from the point of view of being able to serve the three services. So all the three services, of course, the three verticals, but integration and of it, how best it could be fired from the air and also from the ground. So you have surface-to-surface missile system, you will be able to use it from the air. Now, this particular tactical system is all for the conventional battlefield. Remember, it's for the conventional. It is not with a strategic, but be able to achieve the intended destruction of the target. It is in that context we find Pralay, over a period of time, number of regiments that get inducted, that will be a subsequent thing, but it is all under display where it has been tried out at Odisha, and I think this particular Pralay tactical system would in fact be able to destroy the enemy in the conventional battlefield. Yeah.
Absolutely. With that, we move on, of course, to our next display as well at the Republic Day Parade. Next on display was the Pinaka multiple rocket launcher. Let's please put that on our screens. The Pinaka multiple rocket launcher has also been produced by the DRDO. The Pinaka has been indigenously developed and named after the mythological bow of Lord Shiv, exemplifying immense destructive power and long-range precision. As one of the most advanced rocket systems globally, the fully automated 214 mm Pinaka MLRS battery can deliver a serve of 72 rockets on the target of up to a range of 75 kilometers in 44 seconds. I'm going to quickly bring in Major General Sanjay Meston back into the conversation. Major General Sanjay Meston, if you can perhaps shed light for our viewers on the Pinaka system, sir, and how that's added to India's defense advantage.
Yeah, absolutely right. If we just analyze the Russia-Ukraine war and Israel-Hamas and Israel-Hezbollah, etc., today the multi-barrel rocket launchers, they are one of the most potent potent weapons which is being utilized, besides, of course, UAVs and missiles, etc. Now, as rightly stated, there are two versions of this. The one version, the range is 40 kilometers and the other is 75 kilometers. And they, basically, it is allotted or earmarked for the artillery units. So this is an area weapon. This gives immense advantage for the troops or the conventional operations where large number of troops are going to assault or capture an objective. So this is interdiction in the depth targets. That means to prevent any reinforcements, open logistic bases, troops in open. Because number of rockets in 44 seconds, the entire so many rounds being fired, all the rockets have been launched in a given time of 44 seconds. Imagine the impact at the target end. It's a area destructive weapon. Anything which is in that area, including I would say mechanized vehicles, tanks, they will also be impacted. Light vehicles, troops in open, logistic bases. So this helps us to carry on our operations in such a manner that interdiction means you are destroying the enemy in depth and you are preventing him to further assist the troops who are in contact in the battlefield. So that is why the different ranges are there, and you have seen how effectively the Russians have been using it against Ukrainians and vice versa. So MBRLs is a very, very good thing which we have. Earlier we had the Russian BM-21 Grad system. Now these are indigenously built systems. And I would say one thing, the DRDO of late has started doing exceedingly good. Earlier there was a little, the projects were moving in a slow space, but today the DRDO is doing exceedingly well, whether it is Pralay, whether it is Nag, whether it is, Pinaka missiles, anything. I think they have really not taken off, and rightfully so. The government of India or the Ministry of Defence has now earmarked substantial amount of funds for innovation and not only that, design and development. That means experimentation stage. That was earlier lacking. So that gives an impetus to the DRDO and other, small scale industries, etc., to start innovating and designing new things. So whatever the Indian Army requires, now the system has changed. Indian Army has to tell what we require. And therefore, the DRDO and whatever systems affiliated with it, they will start producing. So what I would say, all these things which have been produced, whether it is MBRLs, Pinaka, etc., they are going to have a great edge on the battlefield, and therefore the intent is very, very clear: destroy the enemy to its full might, whatever weapons we have. And today warfare is very, very clear. You have to have full application of all resources. You cannot only have something. So whether it is now Pinaka being fired, it will be also Pralay being fired in the depth, the air, the other missiles. When it comes to absolutely close quarter battles, then Nag. So everything. So we have got various weapon systems for various, I would say, ranges, depth, from immediate contact to tactical to intermediate and to strategic depth. So all kinds of weapon systems are available to destroy and hit the enemy simultaneously at each echelon. Devika.
All right. Next up, of course, in line is possibly India's biggest game changer. I'm talking about the Brahmos supersonic cruise missile. Already acquired by the Philippines, Brahmos has emerged as India's primary defense export product as well. Brahmos, a supersonic high-precision cruise missile, is renowned for its impressive range of 400 kilometers. This was led by Captain Surat Singh. Interestingly, in the presence was also Indonesian president, whose high-level defense delegation is expected to visit India for the possibility of a $450 million Brahmos deal as well. Let me bring back into the conversation Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, Brahmos, of course, most people do know about it, but what are some of the details that you can further shed on it for our viewers, and why is it that it's emerging to be India's most crucial defense export product so far?
Yeah, definitely. As you rightly brought out, Philippines is one. Indonesia could be another country looking for it. It's one of the finest Indo-Russian joint collaboration where we exceeded in making a beautiful Brahmos missile system. Ranges get exceeded, right now confining itself to 400 and being used by all the three services, whether it is from air, whether it's from surface, or is it from, and from the water. So therefore, this particular missile system with its destructive capability, with the ability to go along the, the nape of the ground and be able to hit is what causes total destruction. It is, truly speaking, Brahmos, as the name itself indicates very clearly, between the Russians and the Indians, the collaboration and the export of it. Both Philippines having shown so much of interest into it, Indonesia is showing tremendous interest into it. Similarly, for Pinaka, we have Armenia wanting it and again being exported to it. So this indigenous weapon system have taken on as force multipliers, because not just strategic, tactical. Ultimately, strategic, yes, ranges beyond 1,000 kilometers, going up to 3,000, 4,000 kilometers, but even up to ranges up to 400 kilometers, being able to hit the target and destroy the target with a probability of just about 10 meters. Can you imagine where you intended it? Within about 10 meters, you have the target being hit. So it is with that precision and with that capability and with that speed, and by all the three services being able to utilize it, and this missile being adapted by the air, by the Navy, and by the air. Of course, the surface-to-surface missile is concerned. So it is in that context we find Brahmos is a game changer. Brahmos is a force multiplier. Brahmos is an indigenous product, and Brahmos is one which the countries have now been able to see that is so much into it which can destroy the target, and it is in that context that we have regiments which will be able to do what it is being told to do in the tactical scenario, and that is where I personally would say Brahmos is a game changer, a force multiplier. Reason why Philippines and the reason why the Indonesians may also be able to sign a project in which they have shown tremendous amount of interest. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Let me also now, of course, shift our focus to the next big display. During the 2025 Republic Day military parade, the Indian Army proudly showcased its T-90S Bhishma main battle tank, or also known as an MBT. It's a centerpiece of our defense capabilities. This modern main battle tank has become synonymous with India's armored warfare strength, symbolizing the close and long-standing military ties between India and Russia. The T-90S is the backbone of the Indian Army's armored formations, alongside the domestically produced Arjun and the older T-72. Let me bring Major General Sanjay Meston into the conversation. Major General Sanjay Meston, what can you tell our viewers about the Bhishma system, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. I will just add on something to Brahmos before that. You know, today diplomacy, defense diplomacy, they are very, very important aspects in, relation building between various nations. But today Brahmos is also heading to that direction. It is like a strategic partnership. Countries are now going to demand, so it will help us to have strategic alliances with large number of nations. Many nations today will start taking Brahmos, and to the extent I am quite sure within the next one odd year, our exports, because of Brahmos itself will give us about $3 billion US. So total exports maybe in the next 1 to 2 years may touch around $10 billion. So that is what the importance of Brahmos is. Many countries in the world are going to demand that. Now coming on to T-90 Bhishma. See, firstly, this is the weapon which is basically with the armored core. That means we have infantry, we have armored core, we have artillery. So armored means they are having these vehicles, armored fighting vehicles, to be basically operating in the plains of Punjab, in the deserts. And of course, today even we have started putting these tanks way back in Sikkim, and including in higher altitude areas of Leh, Ladakh, etc., including in DBO. So now, what is the specialty of Bhishma? See, T-90 tanks earlier were being imported from Russia, rightfully stated by you, but now they are being manufactured in CVD Avadi. And the production is onto a large scale. Everything is indigenized now. Everything, including the main gun. The gun is 125 smooth barrel gun, and of course it is a coaxial machine gun, which can even take on small flying aircrafts at a close range, close height, and of course it's also got missiles fitted in that and a normal 7.62 mmg. So this is one of the latest weapons, and it is basically a potent, I would say, system. Where the armored regiments are given these tanks. So this makes a deep incursion. It's got the best of night fighting capabilities, night vision devices. So it's a very potent vehicle or an armored fighting vehicle, and it gives us a lot of advantage. It's a shock action against the enemy, firepower, protection, and flexibility. The maneuverability of these tanks is exceedingly good. So to sum it up, India is doing extremely well. And for the armored units in our country, I'm quite sure with the period of time, most of them will start having T90. Right now, some of the units are also having T92, T72. But T90 today is one of the best versions, and we'll upgrade this also. And the way things are going on, of course, Arjun is there, the MBT Arjun. That also, as on date, I think one of the regiments has got that, probably based in Jaisalmer. So overall, Bhisham T90 is a very, very good tank, very effective tank, and it will pay dividends in the battlefield, and especially in the Western theatre. It's got a lot of its application against our adversary, that is Pakistan. And even high altitude areas, now this is being employed. So it gives us a lot of tactical military advantage in battlefield. Devika.
Okay, all right. And of course, viewers, the showstoppers of the day were India's fighter jets. The low-flying Rafale aircraft executed a spectacular victory roll, leaving the crowd along the Kartavya Path mesmerized as the 76th Republic Day parade came to a memorable close on Sunday. The impressive aerial stunts performed by 3 Sukhoi 30 fighter jets, which streaked over Kartavya Path at 900 kmph before breaking into a Trishul formation above the India Gate, also left the large audience stunned. Let's quickly look at this formation, and then, of course, I take one last comment from our guests.
Air dominance fighter aircraft flying at a speed of 900 kilometers per hour.
3 Su-30 विमान जिनका विजय नाद सुनकर रोमांच महसूस किया जा सकता है, हवा में विलीन होते हुए त्रिशूल फॉर्मेशन बनाते हुए.
Having pulled up, watch the leader going further up and the wingmen spitting to cast a trishul or a trident up in the air. Formation led by Group Captain Manish Arora.
और अब रोमांच की पराकाष्ठा.
All right, there you heard it, viewers. Let me leave the last word with Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, of course, this always leaves everyone. Every year as we watch the Republic Day parade, this leaves everyone extremely stunned when we watch our the Air Force performing these stunts in the sky. But as far as the Sukhoi and Rafale concerns, sir, how do they add to India's defense prowess?
They are not only show stealers on a Republic Day, but the pilots are absolute professionals. Beat Rafales. We saw the introduction of Rafales at a time when things were heating up in Galwan. Entire change. The aircraft, the fighter aircraft of 4.5 generation is something seen to be believed. And on the Republic Day, on the Kartavya Path, when people themselves see the kind of total acrobatic when they're performing up in the air, is indicative that they can perform to the best of our ability. These are the fighters which will defend. They will destroy the targets wherever intended to be, and they are actual force multipliers. the Air Force, the strong Air Force that we have, though the number of squadrons that we would want them, they slowly and steadily will get on to the number of squadrons of 42 that we need at this point of time. But notwithstanding, these kind of aircraft, 4.5 generation, and the kind of aircraft that the Chinese have, the kind of aircraft that the Chinese are exporting to the Pakis, I think at this point of time, to have such aircraft is a real show changer, a force multiplier, and something that can instill confidence amongst the millions of Indians, number one. Number two, it also enhances the morale of the troops on the ground when they see such professionalism and such fighter aircraft which can destroy the targets.
Right, absolutely. With that, I've run out of time, but I thank both of our guests for joining us on the broadcast to take us through their educative exercise. With our viewers, we slip into a very quick break. More news coming up on the other side. Stay tuned.
Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com. हर फैमिली होगी इंश्योर्ड।
खाने में कुछ स्वाद नहीं है।
अरे किफायती लाल, सस्ते वाले दाल मसाले स्वाद हुआ बेकार। इधर कीमती लाल को देखो, खाना बना कमाल। MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल। ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े। क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
उत्तर प्रदेश के लोगों की सुरक्षा, महिलाओं के सम्मान के लिए यूपी पुलिस अपनी जान तक की परवाह नहीं करती। फर्ज निभाते हुए शहीद होने वाले यूपी पुलिस के ऐसे ही बहादुर कर्मियों के लिए योगी सरकार ने अपना एक और वादा पूरा कर दिया है।
परिवार के एक सदस्य को उत्तर प्रदेश शासन की सेवा में सेवा का अवसर भी राज्य सरकार प्रदान करेगी।
यूपी में शहीद पुलिसकर्मियों के परिवार को अनुग्रह राशि देने के नियमों में बदलाव। सीएम योगी ने अनुग्रह राशि के नियमों में किया सुधार। अब अविवाहित शहीद पुलिसकर्मियों के माता पिता को अनुग्रह की पूरी राशि। अनुग्रह राशि के तौर पर माता पिता को 50 लाख रुपए। विवाहित शहीद के माता पिता जीवित नहीं तो पत्नी को मिलेगी पूरी राशि। पत्नी जीवित नहीं तो माता पिता को पूरी अनुग्रह राशि। पत्नी और माता पिता के जीवित न होने पर पूरी राशि कानूनी वारिस को। महिला पुलिसकर्मी के शहीद होने पर पति या अन्य कानूनी वारिस को अनुग्रह राशि। पहले विवाहित महिला पुलिसकर्मी के शहीद होने पर पति को नहीं माना जाता था वारिस। योगी सरकार ने नियमों में बदलाव कर शहीदों के परिवार को बड़ी राहत दी है।
MDH का किचन किंग किचन में हो तो हम सब कुछ बना सकते हैं। बैंगन का भरता, आलू गोभी, भिंडी मसाला और भी बहुत कुछ।
MDH।
From the banks of the holy Ganga, where millions gather in devotion, a spectacle of spirituality once every 12 years, we delve into the heart of the Kumbh Mela.
Hi, I am Arzu Seth reporting from Kumbh in Prayagraj, the world's largest public gathering and collective act of faith.
Watch the rituals, the celebrations, the profound devotion. Real-time updates.
This is the first time when the robotic fire tenders will be used.
In-depth reports.
Thousands of police personnel are also sitting here taking the instructions that what needs to be done.
An expert analysis.
We are in the war room.
Hormone replacement therapy. This is for those who are menopausal. There is a solution. You don't have to suffer out all the menopausal symptoms. There is solution at hand. This is not a new something. This has been there for a while, but there hasn't been much awareness on it. There are of course the pros and cons also. It's not one size fits all. It's not recommended for everyone.
HRT is a hormone replacement therapy which is given for the perimenopausal symptoms and also in a menopausal and postmenopausal woman. नहीं नहीं हम तो हार्मोन नहीं लेंगे, you know, इससे तो कैंसर हो जाएगा. This is a myth which is continuing from grandmother, great grandmother's time कि हार्मोन लेना is not a good thing, it can cause cancer.
Primary ovarian insufficiency, that means somebody for some reason, some autoimmune or some reason, he started not having her periods before the age of 40 only. Sarcopenic obesity, where people are having more of a visceral fat, that means we Indians or Asians at a lower BMI are more prone to having a metabolic disease.
For active cancers, we may give her some time, but as soon as she is through with the treatment, which is 6 months post-treatment, it can be started. And mind, it is not only the estrogens, you have non-hormonal lubricants are there. Then even for the mood swings, you have non-hormonal medicines like SSRIs, which are serotonin reuptake inhibitors, so that can be given.
What we women want at these times on NewsX.
From the banks of the holy Ganga, where millions gather in devotion. A spectacle of spirituality once every 12 years. We delve into the heart of the Kumbh Mela.
Hi, I am Art.
Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Chopra. US President Donald Trump has proposed the Palestine relocation plan. Trump has floated the idea that Jordan and Egypt should take more Palestinians from Gaza, while Israel has welcomed the idea. Palestinian groups have vowed to oppose it. Trump has said that he has spoken to the King of Jordan about moving Palestinians out of Gaza and has called it a demolition site. He has vouched for building housing for Palestinians at a different location where they can live in peace for a change. This comes as the Israel-Hamas ceasefire process has moved ahead, with Hamas releasing 4 more hostages and Israel releasing about 100 Palestinian prisoners in return. Do we have a soundbite? All right. With that, of course, I open up this conversation with our guests. As I was saying, that there has been some progress that has been made. We've learned that 4 more Israeli hostages were released on Saturday, and they are Karina Ariev, Daniela Gilbao, Nama Levy and Lili Albag. They're all of 20 and 19 years old. They walked up to a stage that was set up in a square in Gaza City as they were made to wave at crowds of Hamas gunmen and Gazans. The 4 were also given quasi-military uniforms to wear and were required to walk across the square and stand on the stage with armed Hamas operatives at their sides. Of course, they have now been reunited with their families, and meanwhile, we've also learned that several Palestinian prisoners have been released by Israel in return. Meanwhile, the latest development, of course, is the plan that has now been put up, or rather put forward, by Donald Trump. Let me begin this conversation. I have with me on the broadcast Mr. Aharon Levarko, who has served in the Israeli Defense Force for 9 years. He's also an Israeli journalist. Mr. Levarko, how exactly are the people of Israel responding to this plan that has been put forward by Donald Trump?
Well, it's a bit too soon, but the original reactions are one of optimism, but with caution. We want peace with our neighbors. The Palestinian people, they are our neighbors. Actually, historically, they're our cousins, but they're our neighbors and we want peace with them. The problem is, in 2004 and 2005, Israel unilaterally pulled out of the Gaza Strip, handing over the full authority to the Palestinian Authority, and in return, over years, Israel, and this is a fact, this is nothing I'm making up, we received tens and tens of thousands of missiles over into our territories. So, and then of course, what happened on October the 7th, and since October the 7th, constant barrages of missiles, drones, and rockets. So, we want peace. The question is what will be our security situation? And if Saudi Arabia who said a couple of days ago that they want to see Gaza Strip pretty much a demilitarized zone. I'm paraphrasing what Mohammed bin Salman said, but he said basically they want to see a demilitarized zone in the Gaza Strip. They want to help set up a new leadership in the Gaza Strip that will not have weapons, and they want to push forward a peace deal with Israel. If that is what they can achieve, then I think Israel will be absolutely for it. But as I say, there's optimism, but there's also caution.
Yes, but Mr. Levarko, what does a peace deal at this point really entail for Israel? What are some of the key deal breakers?
There's only one thing Israel wants, and that's a secure border. That's it. When we handed over the Gaza Strip, we helped the Palestinian people with water, with electricity, with food. We even cooperated with security. And the problem is Fatah, who are the Palestinian Authority, they were overtaken by Hamas. And Hamas are the military wing of the Palestinian people. So take Hamas out, which is what the Saudi Arabians want to do, and let's see if there's a moderate peace partner. I don't think we're really asking for anything except safe, secure borders, that our communities who were overtaken and burned down and our people were murdered, massacred, raped, pillaged. We don't want to live with that fear again. So I think really all we are asking for is just safe, secure borders and freedom of movement, tourism, trade, cooperation with agriculture, water. Let's make it work. We did it with Jordan. Jordan made peace with us in 1994, the late King Hussein of Jordan. We've had peace with Egypt for decades. And now with the Abraham Peace Accords, more and more Muslim nations are joining in, and they're seeing that it benefits not only Israel, it benefits their nations as well. So I hope that this peace deal that is being put on the table, being suggested, can be implemented. It's going to take some work.
Okay, but Mr. Levarko, at the same time, do the authorities in Israel really have any trust on what Hamas and its officials may say versus what they may do if the peace deal does go through? Because that, of course, becomes the biggest concern, I'm assuming, in the minds of Israeli officials at this point in time, that if we were to go through with a peace deal, what is it to say that Hamas will not repeat its actions in the future?
Well, that's exactly what I was saying. There is optimism, but with concern. And I also said Hamas will not be part of any peace deal. And the reason why is Hamas don't want peace with us. So you can basically count Hamas out of the equation here. Even the Saudi Arabians have said that. Donald Trump has said that. So for it to be taken to the next level, Hamas have somehow got to be taken out of the equation here. And how that's going to happen, that's why I'm saying it's going to take a bit of work. So, but if Hamas are part of it, which, as I say, it's not going to happen, but if they are, then of course Israel is going to be concerned. Of course there's going to be pessimism. Like I gave the example of when we pulled out of the Gaza Strip in 2005. We trusted them. We put out the olive branch. And instead of getting peace, we got missiles and terrorism instead. So I do not see Hamas being part of this at all.
Okay, I want to bring Major General Dhruv Katoch into the conversation here. Major General Dhruv Katoch, your thoughts on this, as has been pointed out by Mr. Levarko as well. The question, of course, remains what really becomes the future of Hamas. Is Donald Trump, through his proposed plan, somewhere suggesting that, okay, we will now go at it in a different way? We will continue talks with Hamas on one side, wherein we continue securing the release of hostages, but at the same time, we have to look at a more permanent solution, which, as per Donald Trump, is relocation of millions of Palestinians.
Thank you, Devika. Devika, I don't think Hamas could be part of any solution. I beg your pardon. I don't think Hamas can be a part of any solution. They are the cause of the problem. Now, just theoretically, when the Israelis withdrew from the Gaza Strip, and so much money was pumped into the Gaza Strip by various countries, had they put that money into development, it would have been a very, very prosperous country today. The standard of living, everything would have changed. And I think both the countries, Israel and the Palestinians, could have lived in peace. Now, that hasn't happened because there is an ideological content to what is happening. And the point is, it doesn't matter what Israel does. You can defeat people, you can't defeat ideologies. That ideology, I'm afraid, has to be defeated by the Palestinian people themselves. And they are being sacrificed. Unless they wake up and smell the coffee, I don't think anything much is going to change. Now, Mr. Donald Trump has made two statements. One is that he's going to continue to arm Israel. The aid to all other countries is stopping, but not to Israel. That, I think, will be a deterrent to the people in the Hamas in the Gaza Strip. That will be a deterrent. But the second thing he has said is, he's asking Egypt to take in those people and settle them in the Sinai. No, I don't think that's going to happen. Egypt is not going to take anybody. I have met some of their leaders and they are very categorical in it. They may support the Palestinian cause, but they don't want one single Palestinian in their territory. That, I'm afraid, is the situation in the whole of the Arab world. They give lip sympathy, and when it comes to taking in refugees, they are not prepared to do so. Ultimately, I think the choice has to be with the people living in the Gaza Strip. What type of life do you want? What type of life do you want for your children? Now, on the 7th of October 2023, what happened was unacceptable under any circumstances. I can understand the Palestinians may have a grievance, the Israelis have got their problems, I can understand all that. But to do what happened on the 7th of October, in my dictionary, it is unacceptable. And they got what was coming for it. In fact, many people say that the Israeli reaction was a bit too much. But I've always maintained, what is too much, There has to be some level of deterrence to prevent them from doing it again. And perhaps it could have been even worse, because every time actions took place on the Gaza Strip, those people were warned, get out of that building, otherwise it'll be destroyed. So they had opportunities. Now, unless the people wake up and smell the coffee, I think it's not going to work. But there is a chance now with the Trump presidency and with Israel having goodwill within various countries, including in the Arab world and also with countries like India. So there is a ray, I will say, there is an opportunity. Let's see how it goes. Devika.
Okay, Mejan, Sudhakarji, your thoughts on the same as well. The fact that Donald Trump's administration or the decisions, as Mejan the Rufkatosh also pointed out, he's lifted a hold on heavy bomb deliveries to Israel, which was in fact put in place by the former President Joe Biden. He had restricted the delivery out of a concern that it could be indiscriminately used by the Israeli forces on the Gaza Strip. So on the one hand, Trump has lifted that hold on the delivery of bombs, and on the other hand, he's made this sort of a suggestion that perhaps the long-term solution is to relocate upwards of 1 million Palestinians. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Devika, good evening and happy Independence Day to you, everyone in the studio and the co-panelists, so as the audience, the viewers. It's a very serious and very relevant question which you are asking. You see, at the end of the day, we cannot ignore the history without meaning to contradict anybody. Taking a holistic view, I personally feel Palestinian cause and the aspiration cannot be lost sight of in any agreement. So, to say, at the same time, do I mean to acknowledge the relevance and acceptability of what they unleashed on 7th October 2023. That was a mayhem, and it is against the humanity. At no stage can terrorism ever be accepted by anybody. But then you cannot gloss over the basic fundamental cause, the root cause. It is like a disease as a symptom. The whole disease is revolving around a space for Palestinians. So that is one part. Second part is when Donald Trump has made a statement based on the mandate on which he is rebounced or come back to power with a huge mandate and popularity vote, yes, his endeavor is going to be channelized towards bringing this mindless war to an end. How he does it, the methods to achieve that target or end state will be matter of, the seesaw puzzle. It will happen. It is a process of negotiation, some by information warfare, some, you see, he has released the ban or restriction of 2,000-pound bombs, but that doesn't mean that they are going to be applied. It is a kind of, so my inference out of this is the factor of capability enhancement and deterrence is being factored in, and to make Israel army capable to address any emerging threat. The threat could be that the ceasefire in 3 phases, they don't take off in the direction in which it has been committed. Second phase, in any case, they have to deliberate and fine tune. It is the first phase. In first phase, the release of hostages, the elderly people, they have to come out. Few only have come, 42 days are being counted for. So within that, if things will, substantive form of ceasefire will take place or not, is anybody's guess. Second issue I wish to highlight in this part is that the same Hamas, at some point in time, they had a political identity. Maybe because of that, the UN has not recognized them as terrorists. If we are so profound in our thought process and conviction, then why isn't any apex international body and organization, barring one or few, Israel and USA, why aren't they calling Hamas, calling them out as terrorists? So therefore, I think there are a lot of contradictions, and I personally feel that we are not straightforward in our dealings. The third thing I want to highlight, just remember, Devika, very devious things are happening in the global order. Here the world has started willingly accepting legitimizing the non-state actors. Afghanistan is one example. The Syria is the second one. Third one is right in the backyard, Bangladesh. So these are all very serious contradictions which are happening. I think we need to call it out. I tend to agree with the General Dhruv Katoch, sir, and what he has said. Terrorists are terrorists. There is no second thought or second definition. Anyway, the loss of innocent lives are becoming the outcome, any activity. I think that should be branded. A correct definition has to be accepted. People who matter in the apex organization in the United Nations, they need to call it out. At the same time, they also have to address the need of the Palestinians. I am not saying two-nation theory is the answer. It is not. West Bank is boiling. We may have the second Palestinian or the Hamas attack from West Bank itself. It's actually getting out of hand. So therefore, to put all these things, all I would say in response to summarize my statement by saying that yes, Donald Trump has actually lifted the ban or restriction on those 2,000-pound bombs, which have been paid for by the Israelis at some point in time, in a couple of months back. By doing so, he's enhancing the capability because one is not very sure whether the Hamas are going to play up to the parameters of the ceasefire or not. So therefore, there has to be a little bit of toughening up as far as the process of negotiation is concerned by enhancing the capability of Israel. Although the outcome is going to be huge, avoidable collateral damage of the civilians. And third and most important thing is, I personally feel that the Donald Trump administration will do good to factor in the issue of the Palestinian cause as well as a long-term solution.
Okay, all right. Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, Ma'am, your thoughts on this proposal by Donald Trump. Do you think that Jordan or Egypt will even consider it?
Thank you, Devika. I thought you had forgotten I'm on the panel. But clearly you believe that gentlemen should come first before ladies. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak on your panel. I have several comments here. The first comment is that the hostages who were released today were 4 Israeli women soldiers who were just picked up. They were on an observation mission. We don't know what atrocities have been committed on them. So I completely agree with our Israeli guest that what happened that day was unforgivable. On the other hand, Donald Trump's proposal to resettle Palestinians in the Sinai or with Jordan means that he does not know the previous history of what happened. When Yasser Arafat was chased out of Jordan, the Jordanians killed many more Palestinians than Israel has ever killed Palestinians. Huge casualty figures. Palestinians have been slaughtered all over in Egypt, in Jordan, etc. And that's a tragedy that Palestine and Palestinians carry on their shoulders. They are not welcome in other Arab countries. Nor is it possible for the Americans or for the Israelis to pretend that the solution lies in pushing them into other people's territory. As our Israeli guest rightly pointed out, all Israel wants is to live in peace with its estranged cousin or brother. It's as simple as that. To do that, there has to be accommodation. And I would like to remind our Israeli guest that when Israel moved out and left authority with the Palestinian Authority, unfortunately over the years, the present Israeli Prime Minister is responsible for weakening the Palestinian Authority and building up Hamas, thinking that it's a kind of check and balance, which really backfired. Prime Minister Netanyahu's strategy backfired on Israel, which is so unfortunate. And as General Satot said, that the problem is of conflicting ideologies. The problem is also of the tragic history of both Israel and Palestine. So there has to be an agreement by which the Palestinians agree to a moderate authority, as our Israeli guests have said, to administer them and ultimately to have free borders, tourism, development cooperation, etc. flowing in. But to do that, there is no point in either President Trump or the Israeli right wing imagining that either Egypt or Jordan or any other Arab country will accept even one Palestinian. They will not. They will not accept them. It's a non-starter from day one. So it's much better to look at the land which is there, which has been devastated on the Palestinian side, to see whether the Palestinians accept that Hamas is bad for them, to lean upon other countries in the Middle East and India to try to build up some kind of a moderate government, self-administered, and then the path to peace would begin. I'd like to also add, Devika, that these bombs which are being sent, they had been held up because they cause huge casualties. The more Palestinians the Israelis will kill, the greater will be the hatred and the rancor which will last for generations. And so, when people say, has Netanyahu destroyed Hamas? You can't destroy an ideology based on hatred. You kill 100 and 500 more will spring up. You've got to go to the root cause and exterminate the root cause. Only then can Israel live in peace as it surely deserves to do with its neighbors. Thank you, Devika, for giving me the floor.
Yes, but Ambassador Mukherjee, at the same time, when Donald Trump says that he wants to get involved with some of the Arab nations to build housing at a different location, he himself at this point is saying that this could either be temporary or it could be permanent. Why do you think, if these countries will not be open to the idea of taking in more Palestinians, why do you think he's floating this proposal to begin with?
Because he's a deal maker, Devika. He said he is going to purchase Greenland. He said he is going to take over sovereignty of the Panama Canal. He's a deal maker. A deal maker first ups the ante and then comes down. his advisors would surely have told him that Egypt and Jordan will never accept even one Palestinian. They will not accept, and nor would Israel like to endanger its long-standing peace accord with Egypt and Jordan by trying to dump Palestinians on them. That's not the solution. And the Egyptians and the Jordanians have had very bad experiences when they have tried to accommodate Palestinians in their territories, because the Palestinians come with ideas with regard to human rights, democracy, etc., which is anathema to these countries. One is a monarchy and the other is, well, you can call it a semi-democracy. I don't know by Indian standards what you would call it. I don't want to go any further. But they think that Palestinians have a bad influence on their population. They will never accept them. But we have to find a solution so that the Palestinians stay in their own territories. And the Palestinians say that this is a very good way of emptying out the West Bank, making it a territory of Israel. At some point, the Israelis will have to accept a two-state solution. When there will be a moderate government in Israel, then only the negotiations can go. As long as the Israeli right and extreme right are in power, that's a no-no for them. But on the other hand, accepting even one Palestinian is a no-no for Jordan and Egypt. So do you want to really endanger these long-standing efforts when we were all hoping 2-3 years ago that we were moving forward to a situation where you would have an India-Middle East economic corridor which would run through Israel and Saudi Arabia? That is what the G20 in India had hoped for. That would have brought prosperity to India, to Israel, to Saudi Arabia, and to all the other countries involved. But then the Hamas did this disaster, and everything was thrown out of the window. So we have to go back to a situation where we can make these two estranged cousins live in peace with each other. And the solution doesn't lie in uprooting them and dumping them in somebody else's land, where those who own the land don't want them, and those whom you are throwing out don't want to go there. That's not a solution at all. It's a very bad idea.
Right, absolutely. With that, I thank all of our guests for joining us on the broadcast.